Good afternoon and welcome into a playoff edition Victory Monday. Andy Hart, Nick Fitzy, Stevens. Fitzy, been a long time since we could say that. 7 years plus since we've been able to say a playoff Victory Monday. Patriots 16, Chargers 3. Drake Maye 1-0 in the postseason, but more importantly, Zach Hardcore, Milton Williams in that defense, 1-0 in the postseason, 2026 January. Rolling into next week where they'll take on the winner of tonight's game in Pittsburgh between the Texans and the Steelers. If you're a Patriots fan, you're also for the next, 12 hours or so, you're also a Steelers
Play
fan.
Renegade. That's all. Wave your terrible towel at home and play Renegade. You want the Steelers next Sunday night at the Razor.
Pour some ketchup out, wave your yellow, whatever you got in your house that you can find to look like a terrible towel, because there were some aspects of last night's game that make it even more concerning that you may deal with the Texans. But we'll get to that as the show and the week goes on. We need to start with I do say fun football game. I'm not going to say it had the most plays of any game we've ever seen, and I'm going to say it was a little slow at times. Dan Ball, who's making faces behind the glass.
Your definition of fun is an interesting one.
Winning is fun. I've always told that to every kid I ever coached. Winning is fun. And
well,
Drake
Joe
Maye
Mazzulla would
said
disagree. A, Joe Mazzulla would disagree because that's a cop out. And B, that was a slop fest. Don't try to spin this as that was a super fun football game.
Dan, you know what it was? It was the classic definition of a rock fight. That was like just two nasty defenses. One defense a little nastier, a little more rugged than the other, just bearing down and getting it done in the mud. And one team had to emerge victorious, and it seems the Pats were stronger and nastier. And Dan, you've been around this sports world long enough, just like Andy and I talked about at length on the postgame show last night. That was a vintage, quintessential early 2000s, early part of the Patriots' double dynastic run playoff victory.
Oh, yeah, that was right according to the old school Patriot script, which I did enjoy. Sorry, Andy, go ahead.
I would just say the difference was the script was the same, but the script didn't include the cast of characters that did back then, when you knew you had literally Hall of Fame talents on the football field for the defense. You knew you could count on that week in and week out. And yes, games were over at 6-3, 9-3, just like it felt like it was last night, where it was more, Spillane's back and Milton Williams is back and Harold Landry's back and the Chargers O-line stinks. We can do this. Our weakness can beat their weakness. But I want to go to the text line real quick, 617-779-7937. Stanley, Dan Ball's not the only guy behind the glass who gets to talk. Do you know any reason why the very first text to the show we got would be in all caps, 207, Stiz don't know ball? What do you think that's about?
I mean, listen, I went with my gut. I picked the Chargers. I thought the lights would be too bright for our guy Drake Maye. He proved me wrong. The whole team proved us wrong. Wasn't a shootout. The offense wasn't a high-flying offense, but they got the job done. I ate my words. And trust me, I heard from all our listeners over the weekend who did not have nice things to say about me. But, I got to go with my gut.
What did they say?
You were only off by 28 points when it came to the Chargers, Stiz.
What did they say that wasn't nice?
I'm not allowed to swear on the program.
Wow, they were that passionate. But, Stiz was wrong. The rest of us were right. Now, we didn't necessarily pick the game. I think some of us thought there was going to be an over, and some points might be scored. Early on, there were as many mistakes as there were plays by the quarterbacks in this football game, Justin Herbert and Drake Maye. But then Drake Maye, second half, 140 passer rating, completing, making some of the throws, still missed Hooper for the touchdown, but then hits Hunter Henry for the touchdown, and you end up with a relatively comfortable win. Did you ever think, after the very first couple series and plays, you throw an interception inside the 10-yard line, obviously you're like, oh no. But after that stop, after that initial kind of back and forth, Fitzy, did you ever think the Chargers were going to win this football game?
I thought they could take the lead. When the Patriots made it 9-3, I thought there's a chance the Chargers could finally orchestrate a touchdown drive, and it would be 10-9, and then it would be comeback and winning time for Drake. And he had done that a few weeks prior in Baltimore, so I had all the confidence in the world that they could win. But I did think the Chargers would be a little more game, a little more competitive on offense. But as discussed on the post game and as people have bandied about last night and all day today, that Chargers offense was as meek and discombobulated as the Patriots defense was ferocious and unstoppable.
So there were a lot of plays early on, good and bad, for both teams. Both quarterbacks, I'm not sure, are going to send this game film for like their career retrospectives or any video tributes to
you already
themselves.
have Drake in the Hall of Fame anyway. Why does he need to submit a video?
Yeah, and he won. He's now 1-0 in the postseason. I believe that's all that matters because, and we will get to this later, I watched a lot of football this weekend in the National Football League. I saw a lot of quarterbacks who made mistakes, dug holes, could have won games, ended up kicking games away, had to come back. You know, a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who some people were telling me was playing the position as well as anybody in the game late in the season. Mm-hmm. You know, he kind of kicked away an opportunity down in Jacksonville. Oh, Matthew Stafford, they're going to give him the MVP. I saw him in Carolina, and I was like drafting tweets to send out about how he fell on his face and looked like crap in Carolina. And then he threw a perfect ball to the tight end for the game-winning touchdown, and I have to save those drafts for use elsewhere. Those won't be reaching the light of day. But this was a weekend where if you came into the weekend thinking anybody's got a shot in the NFL, anybody can win, anybody can lose, I think you feel that exact same way. What was the stat? You know, up until yesterday, the team leading at the 2-minute warning was not the team that won any of the games. They were all one-score games throughout the totality of the weekend until yesterday in the Patriots game. So, you know, it is as wide open as we thought it was. And Fitzy, there are warts on every team. And yes, that includes your New England Patriots. But I will not go so far as to say 207. Yesterday's game showed us why he is unfortunately not the MVP this year, and that's okay. Okay, so this weekend of football showed me why everybody's not the MVP. If we're going to judge just on this weekend, then Stafford can't win it, then Trevor Lawrence can't win it. Christian McCaffrey, mediocre. Like, I don't know who you give it to if you judge it on this weekend. And Drake Maye made the plays he needed to with his legs to win the football game. Damn ball.
Can I also extend it and say this weekend showed that I'm not sure who the Super Bowl champion is, because did you see a dominant team out of any of this other than what the Patriots defense did?
No.
And that's why, if you're going to ask me my big takeaway, and we're going to get into this game because I thought there were a lot of sneaky big plays that decided this game, 2, 3, 4 plays that decided this game. But I feel better now about the possibility that the Patriots could win the Super Bowl than before this game started. And you can tell me they turned the ball over. Ted Johnson's stat. Oh, when Drake Maye has 3+ sacks and a turnover, they lose, right? Not so fast, my friend. He had 2 turnovers and 6 sacks, and he still won the game. So take that stat, throw it out the window. This weekend made me, Fitzy, feel better about any team, and that includes your New England Patriots and their ability to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because if their defense is going to play like that, again, the Chargers are not the most offensively dynamic team in the NFL by any stretch, but fun little stat for everyone out there that's saying like, the Chargers offense was so gimpy, the Pats, all they had to do was show up and they could roll them. The Chargers, no team converted more third downs in the NFL this season than the Chargers offense. The New England Patriots held them to
Solamente 1
out of 10.
Yep.
1 out of 10, which is an absolutely spectacular number. And also, Justin Herbert got hit so many times, like how many? 18 pressures like an insane amount of pressures put on them. And the Patriots, all season long, Andy, we've been having all these whole like, Drake Maye was the first quarterback to throw this many yards at this time of night with the moon in this position for this many touchdowns, whatever. The Patriots' performance last night in terms of third downs allowed, sacks, pressures, and points, they are 1 of 1 in NFL postseason. Not just since they realigned and went to 7 teams with a super wild card weekend. It was a 1 of 1 all-time performance. That's how fast, that's how ferocious, that's how game they were last night at the Razor.
So it is a Patriots Monday here on WEEI Afternoons. That means scheduled to talk to Marcus Jones at 3:30. He's usually pretty locked in. Loosely scheduled to talk to Drake Maye around 4. It'll probably be sometime after Marcus Jones. We'll talk to those guys because they were keys in this game. Drake Maye, sure, he had the interception. Sure, he had a couple fumbles. He also ran really well and made that one throw he needed to make to Hunter Henry. And Marcus Jones was a contributing winning factor from start to finish. And I want to start right there because I think that Marcus Jones tackle following the turnover from Drake Maye inside the 10-yard line, the 2-yard line, 3rd and goal, Justin Herbert, who goes what? What's he go, like 6'6", 250, something like that?
He's not small.
No. He is 1-on-1 with Marcus Jones, the end zone in his sights, and Marcus Jones, who tells us all the time, He meets those situations thinking he's the bigger guy, right? He doesn't see little guy versus big guy there. He sees big guy versus big guy, and he undercut Justin Herbert. They go for it on fourth down. That falls incomplete. Patriots take over. They avoid the points on the early turnover. I think that was as big a play as there was in this game by Marcus Jones at the goal line.
That was, if there was to be a play of the game in a game that was kind of bereft of dynamic or explosive plays, that was the play of the game. Justin Herbert takes that ball in, and it was strange that they tried to run the ball in 3 times with the quarterback, but he is one of the better running quarterbacks in the NFL and had a bunch of yards and a bunch of first downs this year. Tries 3 runs, then the fourth down pass that doesn't work. You're coming off that interception. You want to talk about sucking the wind out of your sails and flattening all the beers at the ballpark last night. If Justin Herbert's able to get in the end zone following that pick, you have a completely different game, a completely different first half, and then Drake Maye starts to maybe feel postseason pressure on his shoulders. Marcus Jones saved his bacon with that tackle and turned the game right back around in the Pats' favor.
This is crazy, but no one can prove me wrong. I think if Justin Herbert runs over or around Marcus Jones into the end zone there and they go up 7-0 after the turnover inside, I think the Chargers win this football game. I'm a big butterfly effect guy, and I think games dramatically change on big plays and early plays. I think the Chargers might win that football game if they go up 7-0 there. And instead, you get the ball back, and then the second play that I think is a sneaky big play. So you stop them on downs at the 2, and you take over on the 2, and you toss it to Ramondre Stevenson, and all he does is go 48 yards to the 50. I think that changed everything there, because if you take over on the 2, Fitzy, that's a great goal line stand. You didn't allow any points. But if you don't go anywhere and you are forced to punt out of your own end zone, and then maybe the Chargers take over on like the 47, well, you're still playing catch-up. You're still backed up. It's still advantage Chargers. But that immediate play from Ramondre Stevenson, who I continue to say might be the best offensive player on this team over the last month, he flips the field, gets you to midfield, and okay, now you're feeling better. You're not backed up. I think that was a huge play there in conjunction with the Marcus Jones stop.
Yeah, but my favorite part or aspect of Drake Maye's game last night wasn't when he started hitting longer, like the long pass down the left sideline to Booty, the fourth down conversion to, I think, was it to Diggs or Booty? It was Kyle Williams, excuse me. Great pass. The smartest plays he made was when the Chargers pass rush, and they got to him because they got 5 sacks and a whole bunch more pressures last night. And we'll talk about Will Campbell and Jared Wilson and the work that's going to have to get put in by a very sleepless Doug Marrone this week on the left side of that line. When he would, like when Ramondre would just chip somebody, go out, and Drake would take the profit, the short action. Just get it to your guy who's been your most dynamic playmaker the past month. That's great Great quarterbacking doesn't mean the 37-yard scramble, which was awesome. Doesn't mean a 50-yard touchdown pass or hitting Hunter Henry for 35. It means sometimes just taking what's available and letting your playmakers play.
And that is going to be something we're going to talk about probably more as the week goes on. Where are you with Drake Maye holding on to the ball too long, which he certainly did? He had a couple fumbles. The worst one was the lost fumble because he felt the pressure, avoided the strip sack, and then was like, oh, I avoided it, so that gives me more time. I'm going to try to throw it again. And that guy, Owe or whatever, then gets the sack the second time. And I struggle with this, and I do want to get more into this as the week goes on, because I don't think you want to coach all of that out of Drake Maye. How many times have we talked about, he slides up in the pocket and then flicks it down the field for like a 17-yard gain? So if you're going to praise those plays, every once in a while he's going to hold on to it too long. He's going to be in danger. He's going to try to make a throw, and it's going to be a strip sack. So that balance is a continued evolution in his game and his relationship. And I know Vrabel on the Greg Hill show this morning was talking about like the idea that, sometimes just punt, sometimes just, go down and just punt. We're not going
to fight another day. Yeah. So you're going to get more possessions during the game. And Andy, you're not going to win in the postseason, or you're not going to survive very long and realize your dream if your quarterback's going to average 2 turnovers a game. Like that's maybe 1, but 2 turnovers or more a game. That's the bleep that's going to get you beat.
And that's why my last sneaky big play, And you'd never think a guard giving up a strip sack would have the sneaky positive big play. But after Jared Wilson gives up another sack on Drake Maye, he's just standing around like, hey, what should I? Oh, the ball's bouncing around. I should probably fall on that ball. Actually made a sneaky athletic play to recover that fumble because that felt like Fitzy. That was in scoop and score range for the Chargers.
Yeah.
And that would have been a massive opportunity for the game to swing in their direction. So that Jared Wilson didn't play well. Will Campbell didn't play well, but that fumble recovery by your left guard, your rookie left guard, prevented, more dire straits, something really catastrophic from happening there. But we're going to continue to break down Drake Maye, the Patriots, the offensive line, the defensive front. Milton Williams, was he shot out of a cannon in the finale? Yes, he was, and he continued wreaking havoc against the Chargers. And maybe my MVP of the night, and it's not a player. And it's not one of the coaching options we listed on our votes last week. It's not Josh McDaniels and his little trickeration. It's not Mike Vrabel and his bloody lip. It's Zach Hardcore. I thought he was the best coach on the field last night for what he did with his defensive front and the schemes and the blitzes. They blitzed almost 50% of the time. The games up front, they were getting after it. Marcus Jones was getting after it at times. So Zach Core was phenomenal. 617-779-7937. How you like them Patriots? How you like that win? Postseason victory, moving on to face either the Texans or the Steelers next Sunday at Gillette Stadium. Oh, how'd you like that crowd? I'd like y'all to defend yourself. You were in the stands. If you were sitting there, did you feel loud? Were you yelling as loud as you could? Or can you be better? Because there's a certain number one wide receiver and leader of this team that thinks the crowd could indeed be better. 617-779-7937. Patriots Monday here on WEEI Afternoons. In about an hour, we'll talk to Marcus Jones. After that, Drake Maye and your phone calls. All that next here on WEEI. But first, Dan Ball has what's trending.